Hello, my name is Blake Hussery, and this is my oceanography final project. For my final project, I decided to create a piece of art that visually communicates the impact of ocean warming and coral bleaching. I chose a split image approach so people can instantly see the difference between a healthy reef and a dying one. I'm starting here with a blank canvas and adding my first coral, a brain coral, which will eventually sit on the healthy side. On the opposite side, I mirrored the same coral shape, but I drew it in pale gray tones. This represents a bleached coral, one that has lost the algae that give it both its color and its energy. Using the same shapes on both sides helps show what bleaching actually is. The organism is still there, but it's weakened and losing its life. Here are some real life pictures of brain corals. Next, I added more coral structures to build the reef. Coral reefs are incredibly diverse, so I wanted to include different species. The branching coral on the left is vibrant and tan, while the same coral on the right is gray and washed out. This reflects how coral bleaching doesn't just affect one type of coral, it impacts entire ecosystems. I continued building the reef. Now here's the staghorn corals I added right there. This is a real life picture. I continued building the reef with plate corals, the flat layered structures you see near the center. I kept the left ones warm and colorful, while the right side slowly loses color and structure. Coral bleaching starts subtly, but spreads quickly. So I kept the center area somewhat in between to show that process. Here are some real life pictures of plate corals. Next, I continue by filling out more of the reef floor so the composition feels balanced. The left side shows variety, movement, and different textures. The right side shows the same structures, but without that richness, symbolizing how bleaching removes complexity from the ecosystem. As you can see here, I also started to add the anemone. So with the anemone finished, I added a clownfish, which is an iconic species tied to coral reefs. They rely on anemones for protection, and in return, they help clean and aerate them. Their presence here highlights how coral health affects fish populations too. When reefs die, the species that depend on them also decline. So, diving further into the amone, I added a bright purple sea anemone. Anemones rely on similar symbiotic algae as corals, so their health is connected to water conditions too. I used purple to make the healthy side feel alive and colorful, reinforcing the idea that healthy reefs support a huge amount of life. Here are the real life pictures of the purple anemone and clownfish. Next, I started creating the actual ocean environment. On the left side, I added clear, bright blue water to represent a thriving ecosystem. I also added beams of sunlight and bubbles, which make the scene feel warm, active, and full of life. Light is important for coral survival because it fuels photosynthesis in their algae. And then I also added gray water to the right side. The dull blue water shows how bleached reefs exist in more stressed environments. When the water gets too warm, corals become overwhelmed and expel their algae. Without these algae, the corals become vulnerable and eventually die. The murky water here symbolizes that stress, pollution, and loss of clarity in the ecosystem. And here are some final details added to emphasize the difference in biodiversity. I added a small, colorful fish to the healthy side, which shows how bleaching doesn't just change coral color, it disrupts the entire food web. Fish lose their habitat and move away, contributing to the collapse of the reef ecosystem. So yeah, this is the final piece right here. The reef is full of color, life, diversity. On the right, it's the same structures, but it's gray, brittle, and empty. Coral bleaching is caused primarily by ocean warming, and it's happening at a scale that many people don't see firsthand. My goal with this artwork was to communicate the issue visually in a way that anyone, even without a scientific background, can understand. Because the ocean is incredibly beautiful, but also it's vulnerable, and it's crucial to protect it and bring awareness to issues like this. So thank you guys for listening, and thanks, Professor Nuester.